The sky was bleeding. Smoke curled above the desert horizon, twisting into the fading light like dark ribbons of surrender. On the command deck, General Maddox lowered his binoculars, his voice low and final. "It's over," he muttered. "We've lost the skies." But miles away, one pilot hadn't heard that order, or maybe he refused to. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're rewatching from. I love knowing who's listening.
Captain.
Eli Warren's right wing was gone, torn off by enemy fire. The alarms screamed inside the cockpit, red lights pulsing like a heartbeat on borrowed time. Smoke filled the air, thick and bitter. The oxygen mask trembled against his face. He could hear Maddox's last transmission echoing in his headset. "All units disengage, fall back." But Eli wasn't built to retreat, not after what he'd promised. He glanced at the photo tape beside his radar, his squadron, grinning beneath a banner that read "No wing left behind." 3 of them were gone now, their planes falling, silent flames across the dunes. His hand tightened around the throttle. "Not yet," he whispered. The radio crackled. A voice broke through the static, young, trembling. "Captain, your right wing's gone. You're going down." Eli's reply came calm, almost steady. "Then I'll fly with one." Every fiber of his training screamed it was impossible. Aircraft shuddered with every gust, its frame crying out under the imbalance. But somehow, through sheer instinct, he leveled it, slicing through the clouds like a wounded hawk still hunting its prey. Below, the remnants of his squad watched from the ground. Dust swirled around their boots as they looked up. Someone whispered, "He's still up there." And just like that, a flicker of hope ignited. Inside the control bunker, General Maddox stared at the radar screen. "That can't be right," he murmured. "That signature, that's Warren's jet." A lieutenant leaned closer. "Sir, he's engaging." Maddox's chest tightened. The battle was supposed to be over. But there, above the silent wasteland, one broken plane refused to fall. Eli's voice came through the coms, steady as stone. "Requesting permission to finish the mission, sir?" The general hesitated. Every rule said no. Every regulation screamed, "Stand down." But there was something in that voice, a tone that carried not defiance, but duty. The kind of courage that makes men believe again. Maddox pressed the mic. "Permission granted, Captain. Make it count." The enemy formation loomed ahead, dark silhouettes against a bruised sky. His instruments were failing, but his instincts took over. He remembered every maneuver, every drill, every mistake that had ever taught him how to fly by feeling. The jet jerked sideways, half-wing dragging through the air like a wounded bird. He used it, twisted the weakness into motion, spinning the aircraft in an erratic spiral that made him impossible to track. The enemy's missiles cut through the air wide, confused.
Ow.
Then Eli dove. The altimeter screamed as he plunged toward the ground, the sand rushing up like a golden sea. At the last possible second, he pulled back, releasing his last payload with surgical precision. The explosion lit the desert like daylight. In the bunker, soldiers erupted, shouting, clapping, cheering. The impossible had just unfolded before their eyes. But above it all, Maddox stood silent, watching one single blip vanish from the radar. For a heartbeat, he thought it was gone. Then beep, the signal returned. Weak but alive. Hours later, when the dust had settled, a rescue chopper hovered over a jagged ridge. There he was, Eli Warren, his jet half buried in sand, canopy cracked open. His flight suit was torn, blood streaked across his face, but he was smiling. When they pulled him from the wreckage, Maddox was there, his uniform still stained with the dirt of command. He looked at the young pilot and said quietly, "You disobeyed a direct order." Eli met his eyes. "Yes, sir." "But the mission's complete." The general's sternness cracked, replaced by something softer, something like pride. "You didn't just complete it, son," he said. "You reminded us what we were fighting for." Around them, the soldiers began to applaud. It wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It was steady, like the heartbeat of something reborn. That night, the desert fell silent again. But this time, it wasn't defeat that hung in the air. It was belief. Maddox walked the empty field where the burned-out jets rested. He looked up at the stars, small, distant, unbroken, and thought of the pilot who'd flown with half a wing. Courage, he realized, isn't about how much strength you start with. It's what you do after everything's been taken away. because courage doesn't wait for orders. It rises from the ashes, and it flies anyway. Moral: true strength isn't built on perfection, it's built on persistence. The kind that fights even when every piece of logic says fall back. Tell me, what would you have done if you were in Captain Warren's place? Would you have flown or followed orders? Comment below. I read every one of them. And if stories of courage move you the way they move me, subscribe to Cinematic Whispers, where every tale reminds you that heroes aren't born, they're reforged in the fire of choice.